Summer vacation, summer vacation, reading. Now, it may or may not be summertime for you. You may or may not be on vacation, but I am on vacation, and it is summer for me, and we're going to read a book that is actually funny and very popular, and you're going to love it because you get an inside look at American culture, some dialogue, some casual expressions, and a lot of laughs. So I am going to invite you to join me for Diary of a Wimpy Kid. All right, you ready to read Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Now, this book, I really recommend it for anyone who's learning English for so many different reasons. You will get a little inside look at American culture, situations between friends, in schools, inside families, and between neighbors. And you'll see how they interact with each other. It's not always realistic. Sometimes it is more of a caricature, but you know, there's a lot of truth in humor, so you can see a lot about American culture as we read this. You will also hear a lot of phrasal verbs, conversational English, casual language, and dialogue, and we are going to stop and talk about all of that interesting stuff along the way as we encounter it. The other great thing about this book is that it's so common that you can find the PDF and read along with me. You don't even have to pay for it or order your own copy. It's almost like it's made for you to take your notes right inside this book because you see that it has all of this blank space. So wherever there's an interesting phrase, word, phrasal verb, interesting line of dialogue, you can make a little note. So really great for that also. So let's read Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Now, what is wimpy? Wimpy is like weak, scared, not tough, not brave, not strong. Why is the protagonist called Wimpy Kid? Maybe you have some idea, or maybe as we read this together, it will become clear to us. So let's read and we can think about why is this even called Diary of a Wimpy Kid? All right, so it starts with September. September, Tuesday. First of all, let me get something straight. This is a journal, not a diary. I know what it says on the cover, but when Mom went out to buy this thing, I specifically told her to get one that didn't say diary on it. Great. All I need is for some jerk to catch me carrying this book around and get the wrong idea. So let's talk about this. When he says, let me get something straight, that means somebody has a mistaken idea and I want to clear it up. Let's get something straight. Let me get something straight. What you are thinking is wrong. So get something straight is correct, your mistaken idea. This is a journal, not a diary. And you notice that he puts the word journal in all caps. Why does he do that? Because it's the word that's most emphasized in this sentence, and it gives you the feeling of the way people actually talk in English. This is a journal, not a diary. It says diary, but this is a journal. And then again, he capitalizes the word. I specifically told her to get one that didn't say diary on it. And when we see those words in all caps, we can sort of hear the voice of the speaker. Hola, ¿me vienes a buscar?
Dios te lo pidió.
No, no podemos ir a Gulag. All right. Well, you might be able to tell that I am not in Mexico anymore. I am back in Texas. It turns out that reading on vacation is great, but trying to make a video while traveling with my kids was not such a good idea. It didn't work out this time. So I put a bookmark in that book, and now we have jumped across time and space, and I am back to keep reading with you. Another thing you'll notice is that I don't have a book anymore. We gave away our copy of Diary of a Wimpy Kid to a very special friend that we met in Mexico, who is a bookworm just like my kids. So I hope that you are enjoying your copy of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Estefania. So let's jump back into the reading. When Mom went out to buy this thing, I specifically told her to get one that didn't say diary on it. Great. Do you hear the sarcasm? Great. All I need is for some jerk to catch me carrying this book around and get the wrong idea. Yes, so this is sarcasm, and this is a phrase that we use when we're being sarcastic. Oh, that's all I need is for some jerk to catch me carrying this book around, carrying the book around, and get the wrong idea. And there you see the jerk punching him in the back and saying, "Sissy!" Now, sissy is an insult. It's kind of similar to wimpy. So if he gets bullied by kids like this, maybe that's the reason that he is calling himself a wimpy kid. Now, what's the difference if it says diary or journal? Basically, they're the same thing, right? But the thing is that the word diary has certain connotations of being very sentimental, maybe something for girls. You're talking all about your feelings, you're pouring out your emotions, and in this culture, and I think in a lot of cultures, boys are pressured to not be so in touch with their emotions, or at least not be so expressive with their emotion, which is probably not good for boys. But maybe today's boys are overcoming that box that they're put in. So if a bully sees him with a diary, that's just another sign that he is wimpy, right? Sissy. In fact, the insult sissy is like insulting a boy by calling him sister. In other words, calling him a girl, which is actually misogynistic. This is saying that girls are inferior to boys, and if a boy is like a girl, that is a negative thing. So all of these cultural attitudes that have been carried on from generation to generation are not necessarily healthy, and it's good to become aware of them so that we can liberate ourselves from them. Okay, let's go on with the reading. The other thing I want to clear up right away is that this was Mom's idea, not mine. Okay, so here we have a great phrasal verb, to clear something up. What does this mean, to clear something up? If you clear something up, you are correcting someone's mistaken idea. So you probably think that this was my idea, but no, let me clear that up right now. I am going to correct your mistaken idea. Look at this intonation. This was Mom's idea, not mine. We have contrast. It wasn't my idea, it was Mom's idea. This is essential intonation in English. We always show contrast with the voice. So you want to repeat it with me? This was Mom's idea, not mine. But if she thinks I'm going to write down my feelings in here or whatever, she's crazy. So just don't expect me to be all, Dear Diary this and Dear Diary that. Yes, okay. So again, putting feelings in exclamation point, like there's something wrong with writing down your feelings or being in touch with your feelings. I think especially if you're a boy, there's a lot of pressure on boys. In society, we try to put boys in this very small box of what is possible for them. Boys, break free. You can feel, you can express. You don't have to stay inside that little box. Okay, that's just a message to boys and men. Okay, the only reason I agreed to do this at all is because I figure later on, when I'm rich and famous, I'll have better things to do than answer people's stupid questions all day long. So this book is going to come in handy. Do you see some interesting language here? I figure means I think that probably. Figure comes from doing math. Numbers can be called figures. And if you're doing math, That could be called doing figures. So I figure means I'm using my reasoning and I'm thinking that probably. I figure probably later on. So not just later, but later on, when I'm rich and famous, I'll have better things to do than answer people's stupid questions all day long. So this book is gonna come in handy. What does this come in handy? It's going to be very useful. So this is a really great expression that I use and other native English speakers use a lot. It's going to be useful. It's going to be useful at some point. It's going to come in handy. Handy means useful. And you see here a famous person. He's standing at the podium. He has a microphone. The reporters are asking him questions. Gregory, tell us about your childhood. Were you always so smart and handsome? Here's my journal. Now shoo, shoo. So he's going to be too busy to answer all of their questions. He can just give them this journal. So that's how it will come in handy. Now look at the word always. You see how always is in even bigger letters? That's because in natural spoken English, he is stressing this word, and that is helping him communicate a very specific idea. Were you always so smart and handsome? In this case, so smart and handsome is being treated like the context. So he's not stressing smart and handsome. He's not saying, were you always so smart and handsome? No, he's saying, were you always this way? Were you always the way we see you right now? Were you always so smart and handsome? This is called de-accenting old information. So smart and handsome is just part of the context when you are around this amazing, rich, famous guy. We all know he's smart and handsome. That's part of the context. Now the question is, were you always this way? If you want to know more about de-accenting, you can see some of my other videos where I go into it. Okay, like I said, I'll be famous one day, but for now, I'm stuck in middle school with a bunch of morons. So that is his intro to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So he really thinks that he is going to be great one day, and he doesn't really belong here in middle school, stuck in middle school. So this is where he is and he can't get out. I'm stuck in middle school with a bunch of morons. Let me just say for the record that I think middle school is the dumbest idea ever invented. You got kids like me who haven't hit their growth spurt yet, mixed in with these gorillas who need to shave twice a day. Okay, what's going on here? Let me just say for the record, that's a good phrase. Let me just say for the record, and you notice not let me, but let me. Let me just say not for the, but for the. Let me just say for the record that I think middle school is the dumbest idea ever invented. Dumbest idea ever invented. You got kids like me who haven't hit their growth spurt. Did you hear that special intonation? Stress the first word. Growth spurt. What is this? Growth spurt. This phrase refers to that time in puberty, adolescence, when boys shoot up. Shoot up, that means they grow a lot. They get a lot taller in a short period of time. And this is also typically accompanied by other changes as they are changing from boys to men. So their growth spurt. And I have to say that my husband would definitely agree. He could tell you a lot about his experience in middle school, and he tells it in a very humorous way, but it was not a good time for him. And I wonder how many other people have the same experience. Middle school can be really bad. Okay, mixed in with these gorillas who need to shave twice a day. And you notice that we're stressing shave, and then the phrase twice a day that tells when it happens is not stressed. This is a very frequent pattern in English, so I'll just point it out again when it comes up. Who need to shave twice a day. All right, out of my way, runts. And of course, you see, this is the natural, relaxed speech, not out of my way, but out of my way, runts. What is a runt? A runt is someone that's very small. We usually say runt with a litter of puppies. For example, a litter is the group of puppies that are born at the same time. So you have a litter of puppies, and sometimes there's one puppy that's just smaller and weaker than the rest. We call that one the runt. So you can take that word runt and also apply it to any kid that is small, maybe not very well developed yet. So runt is just a small kid, a disparaging term. It's an insult. And then they wonder why bullying is such a big problem in middle school. Okay, a little more sarcasm there, right? You hear it in the tone of voice. And then they wonder why bullying is such a big problem. If it was up to me, grade levels would be based on height, not age. But then again, I guess that would mean kids like Chirag Gupta would still be in the first grade. Okay, so if it was up to me, if it was my decision, if it was up to me, so to be up to someone, if it was up to me, grade levels would be based on height. You see the contrast? Height, not age. Height, not age. But then again, I guess, but then again, I guess that would mean kids like Chirag Gupta would still be in the first grade. Today's the first day of school, and right now, we're just waiting around for the teacher to hurry up and finish the seating chart. Seating chart. Set phrase, if you want to know what a set phrase is. It's a compound noun, 2 words, compound noun, stressed on the first part. So you don't say seating chart, you say seating chart. Here's one example of a set phrase. We'll see many more in this book because they're everywhere. So right now we're just waiting around. Just waiting around. Just means waiting. Waiting and not doing anything. Waiting around for the teacher to hurry up. Another phrasal verb. Hurry up. Can you take away the word up and just say hurry and finish? Yes. So in this case, you could remove around and remove up and still have the same meaning. We're just waiting for the teacher to hurry and finish the seating chart. So I figured I might as well write in this book to pass the time. Again, I thought probably, by the way, let me give you some good advice. On the first day of school, you got to be real careful where you sit. Now, he should say really careful to be correct, but this is a casual way of speaking. It's very common for people to say, you got to be real careful. You got to be real careful. And you notice I'm not saying you've got to be. You got to be. You got to be. You got to be real careful where you sit. You walk into the classroom and just plunk your stuff down on any old desk, and the next thing you know, the teacher is saying, I hope you all like where you're sitting because these are your permanent seats. Ah! Okay. So plunk just means casually drop. Plunk your stuff down on any old desk. Any old desk means whatever desk, it doesn't matter which one. Any old desk. So in this class, I got stuck with Chris Hosey in front of me and Lionel James in back of me. Now you will notice some contrast intonation happening here. It is such an essential feature of spoken English, and I have videos about it. We have 3 cases of contrast intonation in just this one simple sentence. Do you hear it? So in this class, that's a natural implied contrast with the other classes. So in this class, you cannot say, so in this class. You need to say, so in this class, because it is an implied comparison with other classes. In other classes, it's different, but in this class, I got stuck with Chris Hosey in front of me and Lionel James in back of me. Front and back contrast with each other. You have to say it this way or it sounds like something's missing. Okay, Jason Brill came in late and almost sat to my right, but luckily, I stopped that from happening at the last second. I have no comment on this one. I think it's all easy to understand. Is this seat taken? Now that is a normal way to ask if a seat is free. Is this seat taken? You could also say, is anybody sitting here? I don't think we normally say, is this seat free? Normally we say, is it taken? So we ask the opposite question. And he says, yes, 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 it's taken. He doesn't want to get stuck with Jason Brill sitting next to him all year. So he lies and says that the seat is taken. Next period, see, there's another contrast because we're talking about one period, which is a class, right? And then next period is an implied contrast with the previous period. So next period, I should just sit in the middle of a bunch of hot girls as soon as I step in the room. Hot girls, oh my goodness. But I guess if I do that, it just proves I didn't learn anything from last year. So you hear that contrast? Last year is an implied contrast with this year. Greg, will you please pass this note to Shelley? Oh, why, certainly, heh. But the note says, Greg is a dork. Aw, poor Greg. Man, I don't know what is up with girls these days. So you see that what is in capital letters, it allows you to hear the voice of the speaker. I don't know what is up with girls these days. That means something is up, but I don't know what. I don't know what is up with girls these days. So what is going on? What is up with girls these days? It used to be a whole lot simpler back in elementary school. Again, elementary school set phrase. The deal was, if you were the fastest runner in your class, you got all the girls. So that is pretty simple, right? And in the 5th grade, and you notice that when I say fifth, I don't bother pronouncing that second F. I don't say fifth. I just say fifth, as if it were F-I-T-H, fifth. And in the 5th grade, you hear the contrast, right? In the 5th grade is an implied contrast with other grades. The fastest runner was Ronnie McCoy. Nowadays, implied contrast with the past, right? So in the past it was like this, but nowadays, implied contrast, and you hear the intonation in my voice. Nowadays, it's a whole lot more complicated. Now, it's about the kind of clothes you wear, or how rich you are, or if you have a cute butt, or whatever. And kids like Ronnie McCoy are scratching their heads wondering what the heck happened. Yes, scratching their heads. They're confused. They don't understand. The most popular boy in my grade is Bryce Anderson. The thing that really stinks is that I have always been into girls, but kids like Bryce have only come around in the last couple of years. The thing that really stinks, if you say something stinks, that means it sucks. It's not good. It's unfair. I don't like it. Yeah. The thing that really stinks, or you could say the thing that really sucks, is that I have always been into girls. And this is a contrast, right? I have always been into girls, but kids like Bryce have only come around in the last couple of years. So it's a double contrast. I always, Bryce more recently. Yes. And come around is a phrasal verb that means have only begun to see the truth. So if I understand the truth, if I have the correct opinion and you don't have it yet, but later you also begin to share my opinion, I can say, well, now finally you've come around. I always knew that girls were great, but Bryce has only come around to the correct opinion more recently, in the last couple of years. And you don't have to say couple of years, you say couple of. I don't pronounce that F. It's a lot easier. You can, if you want to, say couple of years, but it takes more time, it takes more effort, it sounds less natural, and so if you want, you can practice saying it like me. Couple of years. In the last couple of years. In the last couple of years. Yeah, I remember how Bryce used to act back in elementary school. Girls are stinky poos. Yeah, I don't think girls are stinky poos. And you see that he is emphasizing that capital I because it's a contrast. He is showing you with his writing the way it sounds when people speak. I don't think that girls are stinky poos. I is a contrast with him, and girls are stinky poos is old information. It's something that was just mentioned. So it's not emphasized, it's de-emphasized. I don't think this thing he just said. I don't think that girls are stinky poos. Okay, that's babyish talk. It's like baby talk, but that's okay because that was back in elementary school. But of course now I don't get any credit for sticking with the girls all this time. So he feels that this is unfair, right? Like I said, Bryce is the most popular kid in our grade, So that leaves all the rest of us guys scrambling for the other spots. Okay, Bryce is the most popular, and then the other spots, oh, it's like the hierarchy of, say, some apes or something, right? You have the alpha male, and then you have all of the others in their ranking order. This is very sad. I'm afraid maybe middle school really is like this. I don't know. You tell me if you think so. I don't have kids in middle school yet. So that leaves all the rest of us guys. This is a contrast. Bryce and the rest of us guys scrambling for the other spots. What is scrambling? Well, you know maybe that you can scramble an egg, and scramble means basically mix up. So I'm going to scramble the letters and you'll have to solve the puzzle. But scramble can also mean running around in a sort of chaotic way, in a rush, trying to get something done. Scrambling. The best I can figure, here's the word figure again, that's kind of like figure out. The best I can figure is that I'm somewhere around 52nd or 53rd most popular this year. Ooh. But the good news is that I'm about to move up one spot because Charlie Davies is above me and he's getting his braces next week. Oh, this is really sad. So superficial, right? The good news, you hear that stress on good? Good news is an implied contrast with the bad news, the other news. The good news is that I'm about to move up one spot because Charlie Davies is above me. He's getting his braces next week, so obviously he cannot remain on that spot. He will have to drop down, so I will move up. Pretty sad. I try to explain all this popularity stuff to my friend Rowley. Popularity stuff, set phrase. Stress the first word, popularity stuff. Who is probably hovering right around the 150 mark, by the way. But I think it just goes in one ear and out the other with him. Okay, Rowley is probably hovering, so he's not on a fixed position, but he's somewhere around, kind of generally floating there, hovering right around the 150 mark, by the way. But I think it just goes in one ear and out the other with him. And this is a phrase that we have in English when you tell someone something, explain something to them, but they don't pay attention or they're just not ready to understand. And it's like it goes in one ear and out the other. Yes. So that was Tuesday. Let's leave it there. And you tell me if you would like to keep reading. If you want to keep reading, I will make another video. So let me know.